Okay, welcome back to the 2016 Development Workshop Summary podcast series. And in this component, we're going to be dealing with retention of athletes and then pushing them through development programs. So when we look at how we're kind of constructing this, and this is based on information over the last couple of years, what we're working towards is a program where we bring in people and teach them individual skills to begin with. And so these are your traditional things like emergency stopping, how to turn and steer your bike, how to look over your shoulder. These are elements that you need in everyday life, riding a bike, but have a lot of application in the competitive arena. We then move individuals into doing group skills, teaching them how to ride in pace lines, how to do it in a proper way so that they are able to be safe around other individuals and be able to be competent riders. Associated with that, we are now working to integrate traffic safety programs, and we've teamed up with Cycling Savvy within the SCNCA to help us devise materials and pathways to teach groups how to cycle safely in their communities, deal with traffic, and be safe on the road. So this kind of layers another component on top of group skills. And we recently taught this to the juniors here in Southern California during our annual junior camp, and it went quite well, and we're already starting to modify those materials moving forward. From there, we also have beginning racer programs, or the Early Bird Series in Northern California, and those teach fundamental elements of race skills and teach you how to race safely in a group. And once you're out of that type of program, or even in parallel with that, we are also offering more advanced race skills, things like climbing and descending, how to actually do time trials. We're going to do things like team time trialing, team pursuiting, and then also teaching people how to crash safely. We worked with David Brinton this last fall to offer a program that was very well received. We've also taught advanced paceline clinics, and those have gone over very well. The other thing that we're integrating in here in Southern California, drawing from the Northern California model, is to have race mentorship, where we're going to put race mentors into Category 5 events, in with junior events. We're going to be using juniors to actually mentor younger juniors, older juniors working with younger juniors in the bike races, and that those programs are directly drawn from the beginning racer program in terms of mentoring events. We're also looking forward to offering more specialized and advanced skills development, things like doing bottle feeds, doing feed zones, how to deal with service course, how to work with race caravans and things of that nature. So basically taking individuals who barely know how to ride a bike and then moving them through so they're competent cyclists, and then make it so that they're competent bike racers, and then be able to have it set up so that they can learn more advanced skills, so that when they move into higher categories, is that they have the information and requisite knowledge in order to be able to do what they need to do and be able so that they can perform. So the individual and group rider skills development, those are coach and club-based curricula. So we're really relying heavily on the coaches for developing a lot of these materials. As I said, we're working with we're doing traffic safety with Cycling Savvy. The Early Bird Series and Beginner Racer programs One of the large elements we have here in Southern California is we need race directors who are willing to host programs, and then we need certified skills instructors to lead them. And we've recently been working to overcome those barriers, and I'll talk about that in a moment. The race mentorship programs, we work individually with different race directors who are willing to partner with us in the SCNCA to offer these programs. And then we've run a couple of training sessions for the mentors and coaches so that they could become mentors. And that program did not have as many participants as I had hoped. We ran that just the last couple of weeks, and we'll probably have to revisit that to increase our pool of mentors. So we have some barriers there to still overcome. In terms of the advanced skills programs, about a month ago, I sent out a notice asking for coaches to provide advanced skills programs and provide a mechanism for upgrade points. And unfortunately, I have not received anyone asking to offer those types of programs yet. So we do have some barriers there, probably some communication issues that we need to overcome still. This just provides a synopsis of the Early Bird Beginning Racer program. It's the Early Bird series in Northern California, and it really teaches individuals how to ride properly in the group. They have over 30 years of experience running this program. It was organically driven, and they've come up with a 5-week series that they're now paring back to 4 weeks. In the first week, they basically teach you basic pack handling skills and how to protect your front wheel. In the second week, they teach race cornering and how to choose and hold a line. They then go into pack awareness and skills. They have sprinting basics, and then they put it all together in the last clinic. What we're finding working with juniors is that it requires a little more time working with the individuals on each of these elements. And so we need, in some cases, with very young kids, sometimes we need to work on individual clinic skills for more than 1 week, so basically 2 weeks, or having some sort of refresher built in so they can really get the information solidified. In terms of riding as an individual in a group, this program introduces riders to competitive skills. It's designed to increase race safety, but it was really designed as a preseason activity for all athlete levels. And that's really critical and something I think that has been lost on the athletes here in Southern California, as well as it seems to have kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit in Northern California, though a lot of the athletes have been through the program at least. Here in Southern California, we're having very poor attendance of upper category riders, and that's something that we need to address. And I'm not sure how to overcome that barrier entirely, but we are providing upgrade points for upper category riders to actually go through the program. So for a category 5 rider, they can upgrade to a category 4 through doing 5 events as opposed to 10. And then the advanced riders can also receive upgrade points. Category 4 riders can get 1 point per day, and the category 3 riders can get a half a point per day as they move towards category 2. So all of these things are designed to help riders or incentivize them to actually show up and go through the activities, whether they act as a mentor or whether they're acting as a participant. Logistically, these are non-competitive events, so they're lower cost. They're coach-led activities, and the coaches must be certified. Presently, we only have about a half a dozen certified coaches in the region in Southern California, but this is actually double what we had last year. We've actually just had a new cadre of coaches go through a certification clinic that was run by Larry Nolan. And the events are really geared for category 5s, category 4s, juniors, and women's. And you really need to have the promoter commit to running 5 different events, and they need to be coordinated between promoters and venues. And this has become a real sticking point because you really need an hour for the clinic and another 30 minutes for the race for the practice race. And so for a lot of promoters, this turns into a real hurdle because it costs a lot of money to run events. They have not only the permitting of fees, but also a lot of times they're having to pay for police force to be on staff to improve safety of the course, so they can have a closed course environment, and that makes it not cost effective. And this is a real barrier and something that we're trying to work around. Jeff Prinz is working with Chris Jennings to run an event at CBR, which is a very pricey venue. It's a very costly venue, and we'll see what happens. They're having to charge a fair amount for the athletes to attend, and I hope that they get good attendance at their location. This just runs down some of the other series that we have here in Southern California. There has in the past been a weeknight series at Great Park out in Orange County that's been led by our certified instructor Jerry Tingley. We'll see whether or not that event goes this year. Hopefully we can draw in other events such as El Dorado Park, which is another event, that a weeknight series that goes over the summer. We have our own series out here in Redlands that are run by myself and my wife Rachel, and we're both certified skills instructors. As I said, we have the CBR series in Carson that's going to be led by Chris Jennings, and that's going to be starting here later in January. In terms of identified needs, we still need to have more certified coaches, and I look forward to making that happen. We do have an incentive program for coaches to go through the program where we will pay for, as the SCNCA, we will actually pay for half of the entry fee. So we have a grant mechanism that's in place for coaches to go through the program. And I'm hoping that we can have multiple events located around our region, Long Beach, Los Angeles, San Diego, as well as in the Inland Empire. So CBR is a perfect location for us to have one, and I just hope that they get individuals coming out. In terms of target time periods, one of the things that came up at the Davis Summit was that it's actually very difficult to get people to come out during summer programs, especially when they're just a single skills session. So that seems to be somewhat of a detraction, is to have a single event on its own. And in Northern California, they've called them the NCNCA skills clinics, and they've been associated with things like the Red Kite series. It really seems that placing these events in December and early January is best in terms of getting the riders ready for the year of racing, because they would much rather be racing than going through skills clinics once they get further into the year. In terms of the SCNCA race skills program, so these are single day events, and I kind of provided a highlight of that and why they're not such a great thing, but we have run them here in Southern California, and they highlight key aspects of the Earlier Bird series, so they give you a taste of what you can get out of the entire series. And we've run them at Dana Point, Grand Prix, Kern County Stage Race, and our own events out here in Redlands. And in Redlands, what we've done is we've actually made them free for athletes to go through, and we couple them to the events themselves and provide mentored race series also. And that seems to have helped us in terms of being able to get more people to come out. And we also use them kind of as warm-up sessions, so that seems to help also. The Race Mentorship Program in Northern California, this has been run for many, many years, and it really augments the learning of the Early Bird series, and we're cooperating closely with the NCNCA to get that off the ground here in Southern California. In Northern California, they do provide they pay a member coordinator, a mentorship coordinator, as well as the mentors. We are working on a budget to have paid mentors for 2017, and down the line, hopefully we'll have a paid mentorship coordinator also. Logistically, these are very easy for promoters to run. There's limited promoter costs, just the insurance surcharge for mentors. We have a program where hopefully the promoters will provide a free entry for the mentors as an appreciation for their efforts. And we just need a quiet location for post-race debriefing. It is a formalized program in terms of how to get mentors trained so that they can be suitable to run in the program. And we have run a couple of those events, and we do have about 10 suitable mentors here in Southern California right now. The assignments, ultimately, we're hoping that they'll be similar to how officials are assigned, and presently we're having the SCNCA pay for the race mentors. The program is actually quite flexible, and it can be added on the fly to any event. Though we will be soliciting specific races, but promoters can actually request inclusion in the event. The targeting right now is for Category 5s, 4s, women, and junior events, and these are incentivized by giving additional upgrade points for individuals who go through these programs. In terms of upper category race mentorship, this is something that's on the drawing board. In Category 4s, we're thinking about things like how to teach positioning and how to read a race. For Category 3s, teaching timing and efficiency. And then by the time they get to Category 2, there should be a strong focus on teamwork and how to actually work as a unit. So in terms of rider development pathways, these are kind of coupled in. As I talked about before in my earlier podcast, we do have an advanced skills program and clinics that are put together. There's a solicitation that's out to coaches to actually run these programs. The clinics and instructors will be screened by the development committee through the forms that they turn in. And these are really designed to build from skills development programs in the beginning racer programs. So ideally, any individual who enters into one of these skills clinics will have already done a beginner racer program and have all that information underneath them. It provides an avenue for additional upgrade points towards Category 3 as well as Category 2. And then we have the ability to couple these to both non-competitive and competitive events. And we've done this in the past already in Redlands. Some of the potential clinics, and a lot of the ones that we've run ones on body contact, bumping and touching, advanced cornering skills, echelons and pace lines, team time trials, climbing and ascending, team tactics, service course, and then we've done crash course also. So the rider development issues, some additional things that have come up and that are really a problem here in Southern California, especially in 2017, is the race calendars is really poorly coordinated across the different race disciplines and with race activities. And because there's this lack of programming, is that we're having issues already, even though it's early January, with promoters not getting their permits out in a timely fashion. So there needs to be coordination between the track, road, cyclocross, and mountain bike activities in order for the athletes to feel comfortable actually doing events. I've talked with Billy Innes, who's the Junior National Program Director at USA Cycling, and his comment was that there needs to be coordination within a race day so that the race schedule actually accommodates the juniors' parents' time. And what he suggested was that to have the junior men race and then have the masters race and then a pro 1-2-3 type of race, and then that allows more access for racers within a short period of time. And so he was suggesting like having the juniors race early in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then having the pro 1-2-3 event at 5 p.m. isn't very smart thinking. And no parent wants to hang around for an office park for 6 hours. Unfortunately, here in Southern California, nobody has listened yet. All the races this year are still constructed around the idea that that they're going to have the juniors early in the day, and then they're going to have these other races late in the day. And in some cases, they're spread apart by 8 hours. So there's no way that, and parents would stick around for those two events, or they'd be, they're out of their minds in order to do that. The other part of this is that promoters tend to shortchange the juniors. This is still a problem. It's a large problem. Is that the races are too short for the juniors. They're only half an hour criteriums. They're not very long. The other part of it is having more challenging circuit races instead of just criteriums. That's a little bit difficult because of the logistical issues that I talked about before, where we're having problems with venues. And from Billy's standpoint, is that the athletes are already 4 years behind the curve when they get than the typical Belgian, because the races have too few of individuals and the races aren't challenging enough. And the way he put it was that the UCI is not holding a World Criterium Championship, nor is the IOC having a Criterium Championship at the Olympics. So really we need to think about that and think outside the box in order to provide appropriate events. The way he put it was, I would love for the promoters to challenge themselves and come up with inventive and challenging courses. It's simple to say, it's hard to get out into the real world. It's going to be a hard thing to implement. Track programs, the track nationals are in Carson, which are in late July to early August 2017. We're trying to work on having some sort of coordination between San Diego, Encino, and Velo Sports Center. But the Velo Sports Center has already provided their schedule for 2017. So we're going to be providing other events that will be based around the schedule that they've already provided. The goal by Dave Grills was to increase track participation and have a development program that prepares the athletes adequately to get to track nationals. And this really needs to be integrated with the road calendar, which is something that the Velo Sports Center did not do, at least in my opinion. They did not integrate it very well with the road calendar. They did what they wanted to do. And that's been something that is historic within the region, is that there's a lack of programming across, as I said earlier, there's a lack of programming across the different disciplines, and there's a lack of programming in terms of preparing athletes to do other things. In terms of scholastic programs, we do have something on the drawing board. I'm working on dates now. I have good access to our venue here in Redlands, and we'll probably use that to start with, and then I'll try to combine that with track activities. My goal is to offset this in the year from the NICA programs, which run in the spring, so we'll probably run something in August out into October of 2017. I'm hoping that we can use this as a new recruitment tool, and then targeting the NICA race directors, and especially those that are teachers that are embedded in schools, and try to bring out those kids and get them interested in road and track activities. And then maybe we can even couple that into cyclocross heading into the winter. We need race directors to actually run some of the events, though GS Andiamo can pick up a large bulk of these here in Redlands if we need to. Ideally, we would couple this to existing events, but we're going to need to develop some new ones. And then we need coaches still that will interface with the programs. I've been trying to get some people interested, and I'll be doing that more so coming up here into the spring. We're going to use a collegiate scoring system, and we're going to have hopefully a series of individual time trials, team time trials, or team pursuits, and then having mass start events, points races, missing outs probably, and traditional scratch type events.